Hello everyone, welcome to GingerGear. My name is GingerBeard, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create basic grid-based movement in Clickteam Fusion 2.5. But before we get into that, I do want to go on and say sorry for the lack of uploads. It's been about probably almost 3 months. Probably has. And I'm very sorry. The schedule has been very weird when it comes to getting time to record. So I'm very sorry about that. I'm going to try my best to keep these tutorials flowing as smoothly as possible. Okay, so let's go on and get started with our grid-based movement. So first thing we're going to need is two objects. We're going to need one active, and we need another active. Alright. So now what we want to do is we want to rename one of them to be, drag this over here, player. And then we want the second one to be wall. Okay. And what we're going to need now is one more active object. And you'll see why in just a second. So let's go on and insert another object. Let's get another active. And we're going to go on and just name this active. We won't need to name this active. Let's just go on and edit the active. And let's go on and make them like a grid, because I want to be able to make a small grid so we kind of get some visual on how the movement's going to work. Now the grid we'll be doing is going to be 32 by 32. So we'll keep the object at 32 by 32. So we don't have to mess with sizes or anything like that. Now let's go on and grab a color. Let's make a grid real quick. So I'm just going to kind of just put some lines like this. And let's go on and hit OK. Now you can see we got this square with only a line on top and at the side right here. We're going to go on and take this and we'll right click it. And we're going to come down to create. And when we right click and we get to create, you're going to see quick backdrop object, or a backdrop object, or an active object. Well, we want a quick backdrop object. And now let's go and place it somewhere. Place it right here. And there we go. We have a quick backdrop. Let's go and rename it real quick. Let's just rename it to grid. Alright. So now, since we got that done, we can go in and delete this active object, because we don't no longer need that. So just go and hit delete. Okay. Now, let's go and resize this grid to the size of our frame. And the size of our frame is right here. It is 640 by 480. So we're going to click on our backdrop. Let's go to size and position down in the properties tab, and we want to go on and change size. The width will be 640 and the height will be 480. There you go. We have a grid now. We have our objects here, and you can see they're kind of aligned with the grid. Now, if you have Snap Grid on, which is right here, if you don't have this selected, just hit that, and that'll put it all on a grid for you. Now, just in case the grid size is not by default 35 to 32, and maybe another number, just go to Grid Setup over here. So click Grid Setup, and you can go on and change the size to 32 by 32. It's the same thing for the origin. And that's it. I'm going to click that off because we already have all of our stuff configured. Okay, so now what we want to do is just go on and just make our player and our wall a different color instead of the diamond. Okay, so let's go in and double click the player. Just go and hit new. And let's just make the player a blue color. Alright. Like a bluish green. Let's also go on and remember to set the hotspot to the middle. Okay. Oops. We hit OK. Now what we want to do is go to our wall. Let's go and hit new. And let's just make it like a dark red. And let's make sure the hotspot is in the middle. There we go. Alright, so now you can see they're all aligned to the grid, and we just got some blocks. We got our player and our wall. Now before we get into any kind of programming the movement, we want to go on and set 4 alterable values to the player. So let's click on the player. We're going to go to the Properties tab, AZ, and now what we want to do is create 4 alterable values. Now let's go and name them. So our first one is going to be max grid. Let's go there. Because this is going to hold the value of how big the tiles are. So for the tiles we're doing here, going to be 32 by 32. So we'll just type in 32. Okay. Now let's go on and make our other alterable value, and this one's going to be pixel underscore count. Because what this is going to do is this is going to track how many pixels we have moved up, left, or right. The next one is going to be, just name it something like pixel speed. And this is going to control how fast we move from grid to tile. Now, let's see. After we've done that, let's go and just set this to... We'll just set it to 1 for now. Okay. And for our last one, we want xdir, because this is going to be our direction we're heading. So let's go and do xdir. Now, after we got that completed, this is just going to serve as our direction, like depending if we hit left, right, up, or down, or WASD. We're gonna it's going to choose. We're going to set that direction to a certain number, and then depending on the number, will be depending what direction it goes. Okay. So we have all of our values set up. Now let's go on and make a box for our player to move around in. So let's just go on and make a small box here. Okay, this ain't not 100% a box, but it's close to it. Let's put our player in there, and let's go and just move this. Let's just go and delete that tile, because I'm not going to need that. Okay, so now we can go on and start programming the movement. So let's go ahead to the event list editor, and let's go on and make a group of events. This is going to be start of frame. Okay, and what we want to do, well, actually we probably didn't have to create a started frame, but I'm just going to go and roll with it. We need to create one more group of events, and let's go on and name it controls. Okay, so we got our controls group of event, and what we want to do in here is add a new condition, and we want to check for the player if alterable value, compare an alterable value. So if xdir is equal to 0, we're going to add another condition. So we'll right click and hit insert, and go to the keyboard and mouse. Upon pressing a key, And if the player hits W, drag that down. We want to set, we're going to insert an action, we're going to set the xdir to 1. Okay. So when we hit W, we want the xdir to turn to 1. Now let's go and do this for each direction. And we can just simply copy and paste this at least 3 times and just change the upon pressing W to something else. So this will be S, this will be A, and this will be D. Okay. And now let's go back and change each action on the different upon pressing conditions. So we're going to change this one to S to 2. We're going to change A to 3. And we're going to change D to 4. Okay. So now we have our conditions that check what direction we're going. So now let's go on fold up controls, and let's go on and add another group of events. And this one's going to be called movement. Okay, in movement, we want to first create a new condition, and we're going to check what the xdir value was. So let's go on and do alterable value, compare, and let's say if xdir is equal to 1, so we're going up since we're hitting W, we want to check if, so let's add another condition, if pixel count is lower than the max grid. So let's go on and to A to Z, or A to M, and let's go to max grid. There we go. So now, let's also drag this down. We're checking if the pixel count is lower than max grid, and if so, we want the character to keep moving. So now let's go and insert an action, and the first thing we want to do is add, so we're going to add to pixel count. We want to add in pixel count our pixel speed. So remember that number we set in pixel speed. What this does is our pixel speed is going to basically, that's how many pixels we move. So if we set it to 1, we'll be moving 1 pixel until we hit 32. And same thing for if we set it higher. So the faster we set the speed, the faster we'll move to each tile. So we want to go and add pixel speed to pixel count. Now after we've done that, let's go and add another action. Let's go to insert, and we're going to go to our player, and this is where we're going to actually get the player to move. So we'll go to position, Y position, and we want to go on and set the Y position to our player's Y position, and subtract pixel speed. So there we go. So now we have our character is going to be going up. Let's go and move this down. There we go. So now our player should move. So let's go on and play test this real quick. And now if we hit W, you're going to see the player is going to move. But you can see he stopped, but we can't move anymore because pixel count is now greater or equal to, it's no longer lower than max grid. So let's go on and close this out. And let's do this for the other directions. Now for the same thing, for the other directions, we're just going to copy and paste this about 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to change the direction. So let's go on and go to xdir. And let's set this to 2. Let's go back to the other xdir. Set that to 3. And let's go to the last one and set that to 4. Okay. But there's still one more thing. We're going to have to edit at least the Y position action. So what we want to do is, we want to go to our xdir 2. We want to right click on this action and hit replace. Oh, not replace. Since this is going downwards, we want to hit edit. And let's replace this minus to a plus sign. Okay. So now, what we want to do is go to our third, which this is going to be left. So what we want to do is, we want to go on and right click on this set Y position, and we want to do replace. And instead of moving on the Y position, we want to move on the X position. So we're going to go to position, set X coordinate, and we want to set the coordinate to the player's X coordinate, and we want to go on and subtract X speed. There we go. Or not X speed, but pixel speed. Okay. And now we want to go on and copy this. So let's click on the set X position. We're going to do Control C, or you can right click and hit copy. And let's go to our set Y position down here on our xdir 4, and let's paste. So Control V. And now let's just go in and delete the set Y position. And in this, we want to double click it, the set X position on the xdir equals 4, and we want to change the negative to a positive. There we go. So now let's go on and run the application. And if we move up, you can see we move up, and then we go on reset. If I move left, I move left. If I move right, I move right. And if I move down, I move down. Okay. So we have the movement done. Now we have to get the player to stop. Or when we stop, we want to be able to refresh it so we can move again. So let's go on and make another group of events. And let's name this stop moving. Now, after we made our group of events, let's go on and create a new condition. And in this new condition, we want to check if the player's xdir is greater than 0. And we also want to check, so let's add another condition, if compare an ultimate value, pixel count is equal to max grid. Okay, now let's make sure to move this down. And now if both of those conditions are true, we want to go and insert an action here. And let's go on and reset all the values. So let's go on and set. And we want to set our pixel count to 0. We also want to add another action. So we not replace, we want to insert. Click and insert. And we want to go on and go to our player, ultimate values, set. And we want to set the xdir to 0 as well. Okay. So now let's go on and try this. So now, if we move, I move up, and I can move up again. I can move left or right. I can move left, down, and right again. So I can keep kind of moving. So you can see the player kind of moving right here. It's great. But there is one problem. This is going only 1 pixel at a time. So let's say we go on and change. So let's go and click this player icon up here at our workspace toolbar. And let's set the speed to something different. So instead of 1, let's set it to 3. Now you're going to notice the character's going to move faster, but you're also going to notice something else. If we move down, well, 1, we're not going to be able to move again because it's no longer equal to max grid. And also, there's going to be a chance if we keep moving, we're not going to be able to, we're going to be off-centered on the grid. So I can actually show this real quick. I can go and do equal and greater. So we're going to go and start moving. And you can see we're slowly getting desynced from the grid as we move. Now to fix this, let me go and put this back to equal. So we don't want it to greater or equal, we just want it equal. We need to add another condition. And what we want to do is kind of do something similar to what we did. But we want to move the player backwards, like so many pixels. And to do this, we're going to go to our player, and we want to go to multiple values, compare, and we want to go to our xdir, and if xdir is equal to 1, and so we're going to go and insert another condition. I mean to put this in a very large window. We want to check if the player's pixel count is greater than max grid. Alright. Let's move this down. So if the pixel count is greater than max grid, in order for us to move the player back, we're going to have to subtract 32 from the pixel count. So, because what's happening is, when we set our pixel speed is adding, say if we had speed to 1, it's adding 1 all the way up until it hits 32. But there is a problem with this. If we set to, say, 3, it's not going to equal 32 by the time it hits over that. So instead of the number we're going to be wanting to get, we're going to get something higher. And in order to fix this, we're going to have to subtract it. So whatever remaining pixels we overshoot, we want to be able to move back that many steps, or that many pixels. So what we want to do is go into our player, we want to go to multiple values, and we want to subtract from. We want to subtract from pixel count. And now we could just easily just put a number like 32 because that's what we're going to be wanting. But we can use max grid because max grid is supposed to be the size of our tiles. So if we just go to our max tile, that would do it for us. So if we ever have to change the number, say if you want to have a game that uses 16 by 16 tiles instead of 32 by 32, you can do that and just set that to 16. So now let's go into max grid. Alright, so now we have all that set up. Now let's go on and move the player back. So we're going to insert or add another action. And what we want to do, we want to go to our player's position. We want to set the Y coordinate because we're going upwards. We want to grab the player's Y coordinate, and then we want to, instead of subtracting, we want to add because we want to move him backwards. So we want to add pixel count. There we go. And let's go on and reset all the values as well. So let's go to our player, altable values, set xdir to 0. And we also want to do the same for pixel count. Just add set pixel count to 0. Also, it's very important how you align your actions, because when a condition is true, it goes down all the actions in a line. So for instance, subtract max grid from pixel count would be first in line, and then it goes down it. So that's very important to make sure all these actions, or at least these two, are set up right. Because if we have set Y position upwards on top of subtract max grid from pixel count, this won't work. We have to have it where it subtracts the grid, so 32, from pixel count, and then put the remainder of those pixels that are left to our player to move them backwards. Okay, so now we should be done where we can move upwards and our player will stay on the grid. But let's go on and set this for all of our directions. So let's go on and copy and paste it 3 times. And now let's set xdir 1 to 2. And set xdir 1 to 3. And set xdir 1 to 4. There we go. So now we also want to change the set Y position on xdir 2. So let's go and double click it to edit it. And instead of positive, we want to move them upward. Since this is going down, we want to move them up the remaining amount of pixels. So there you go. Now for our left and right movement, we're going to have to replace. And let's go to our player. Set the X position to the player's X position. And let's go on and add pixel count. There we go. This will move him right. Now let's go to our xdir equals 4. And well, first let's go and copy this. Let's just go and copy that. So let's go back to xdir 3, Control C, and then go to our xdir 4 and go to set Y position, click on it, and then hit Control V. And let's go in and delete set Y position off xdir equals 4. Okay. And let's go and edit this and change this to a negative. Done. Okay, so now let's go on and hit play. And we can go on and start moving. So you can see I'm moving left, right, up, down, and you see I'm moving, but I'm staying on grid this time. So if I move this way, I'm still on grid. And if I move up, I'm still on grid. But there is one more thing that's important for this type of movement, and it is collision. Because we're going to be hitting against walls, and you can see we can go through them. We want to be able to stop when we hit a wall. In order to do this, we need to program the collision. So let's go on and fold up stop moving, and let's create another group of events. And let's just name this some simple, like stop underscore wall. And now let's go on and add a new condition. So first we want to check where our player is going. So let's go and go to altable values, compare altable values. Let's go to xdir, and let's check if it's equal to 1. And also we want to add another condition. I'm going to insert, and let's go on and check if the player is overlapping another object, which will be our wall. Let's make sure that's below that. Now let's go on and add our actions. Now what we're going to do is go to our player, And when our player collides with the wall, we want to be able to push them back. But we wouldn't have to do the whole subtract 32 from pixel count. So all we have to do is just go to our position, Y position, set the Y position to the player's Y position, and let's go on and add pixel count. Okay. And let's go on and reset all the values too, because when he hits the wall, we want to go on and be able to move somewhere else. So let's go to insert. Let's go to our multiple values, to our player, set. And we want to go on and set pixel count to 0. And we also want to set or add. We'll add another action, and we'll go and set the player's XDir to 0 as well. Okay. So now we have all that set up. Because what we're doing is when the player hits the wall, instead of subtracting anything and putting the remainder, we're just going to go and check like how many pixels has he moved, and then just move him back that many. So it's going to run the application, and now we're going to go on and move up, and you can see I'm still hitting W, and I won't be able to go to the wall. I can move to another side, try to go up, nope. So now we are perfectly colliding with the wall and not moving. So now let's go on and do this for all the other directions. Let's go on and click on our conditions that we have made, copy, and paste it 3 times. Now let's go on and set all the directions to the proper value. So let's go into XDir, set that to 2, and we're going to set XDir to 3, and then this XDir to 4. Okay, so now we're going to do this again. We're going to go back and to our XDir 2. Let's edit it, and let's go on and make this subtract instead of a positive number. And let's go on to our XDir equals 3, and we want to go on and replace this with our X coordinate. So we're going to set our X coordinate to our player's position, our X position, and let's go on and add pixel count. There we go. And now let's go on and copy this, and then put it at XDir 4, and delete the set Y position. Okay, so now let's go and test it. So I'm going to move to the left. I'm stopping. I'm going to move to the right. Oh, what happened here? I have no idea what happened. Let me check that real quick. Whoops, I see what I did. What I need to do is it's not positive on the XDir equals 4. It's not positive, it's negative. Sorry about that. So just edit that and it'll be alright. Okay, let's go on and test it. So I'm going to move left, and I'm going to hit the wall. I'm going to move right. I'm also going to hit the wall. I'm going to go up and down. So there you have it. If you found this video useful, be sure to leave a like. And if you need any help, be sure to leave a comment down below. And if you like our content, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to keep notified. And we will see you later.